welcome once again to Noah Snark, where two former religious types and current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
My name is Hillary.
And I am Josh, a.k.a. the ass bone of a jaw.
You only got one part of that right.
Wait, the ass bone?
Ass.
So before we begin, as always, it's time to ask if you have any hits or misses you'd like to mention from a previous episode.
I actually do.
Nice.
Let's see. At the beginning of our Muhammad episode, I said the movie was Prince of Thieves. I was talking about Prince of Egypt. Prince of Thieves is an Aladdin sequel.
Right.
Because I guess I was hung up on the Aladdin comparison. But I do know the difference. And I just wanted our audience to know that. You were right. Richard was an assistant director on The Rescuers, as well as Robin Hood.
God, The Rescuers. I like that movie.
I love The Rescuers. I loved The Rescuers Down Under a ton when I was a kid. I tried to rewatch it. It is not very good.
I've heard that.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it as an adult.
I was really disappointed because I really loved that movie. That's it. I think that's it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I don't recall anything, so I'm going to say that everything I did was perfect and perfect.
Great.
Excellent.
Humble as always.
Okay, so Hillary, let's talk about what we are doing today.
Okay, today we are doing a movie called Samson. Very modern.
It
was last year.
It was made last year.
Right.
It is a pure flicks epic about the classical Bible story about a super strong guy.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with it, you're going to be familiar with it by the time this is over because
We're going to talk about it.
It's just a retelling of the 3-chapter Judges story.
Right. But stretched out and put under the, Zack Snyder style filter.
That actually is an excellent segue to our next segment, which is describe this movie in one sentence. Mine is, sort of what Hillary alluded to, a Bible story made to be slightly less absurd, but still longer than just reading the story.
Yes, unnecessary. I said Jewish superhero makes the mistake of trusting women.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to make an addendum to my one sentence of bitches be lying.
Yeah, right? They trifling, man.
We'll get there.
I should not keep being surprised at how women are portrayed in religious lore.
Yeah. But
it's ridiculous.
It's over and over again.
Yeah.
But let's get there.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and do it. This movie was long enough. My notes are long enough. So the faster we get it, the faster it's done. We get a sweeping shot of the desert. And we learn that 400 years ago, God delivered us to this promised land. But as the years passed, many have forgot and turned their backs on God. And when the Philistines came, they found us, weak and divided, and they enslaved our people. But we had one hope. A man would be born who would rise up and set our people free. And right away, I hadn't realized this was a actual common refrain in biblical criticism, that this just sounds like Jesus.
I actually forgot we were watching for a second. I'm like, another Jesus story. I'm like, no, Hillary, it's called Samson.
It's called Samson.
Yeah.
But this is not Jesus, it's Samson.
Right, one of the many that I guess God provided for his people.
And I mean, it's hard, I'm not an expert, but it's hard to say that maybe Samson wasn't intended to be sort of a pseudo-messiah in the way that Jews don't accept Jesus as the Messiah anyway.
Yeah.
Samson fits a lot of the same bills.
It's kind of like in Harry Potter. You know, Neville was almost the chosen one.
He could be the chosen one just
Right.
as easily, yeah. Which is my favorite Harry Potter fact. So we go to the Temple of Dagon, where a Philistine inside, talks a lot of shit about the Hebrews and how easily they've given up on their own God so that they can serve Dagon. Because he's shuffling them in and they're giving offerings to Dagon, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to get the impression that the Hebrews are being oppressed and suppressed. But we see two people sneak into the temple to try to steal all the food.
Yeah. Not very, what's the word?
Discreet.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty conspicuous, I would say.
He basically throws himself through the window in the roof.
Right.
The skylight.
Just around the corner from a guard.
Crashes.
And then they're talking to each other the whole time.
Hey!
I'm just like, shut up!
You want to whisper scream at each other?
Let's do riddles!
Yes. So, not everyone is accepting the subjugation lightly. And of course, we see that this is our hero, Samson, who's holding the rope.
Yep.
And his brother, Caleb, who is sneaking around inside. And like Hillary said, they're exchanging riddles.
Yeah.
For some reason.
It's important for them to get caught, I think.
But eventually Samson is seen from the outside of the temple.
Yeah.
And he is recognized as that Hebrew strongman from the pits.
Because it just looks like he's whispering into vegetables. And they were like, what are you doing? Again, not inconspicuous.
And he's wearing the most conspicuous
yes, his
costume.
hoodie is up.
Yeah, it's not just his hoodie is up. He's wearing a shroud.
Yeah.
You know, when people are really infiltrating places, they blend in. You don't just wear a large covering over your body because everyone's like, what is that large person doing?
Josh, Samson was not known for his intelligence, and we learned that over and over again in this movie.
But it's just like, you can't cover your entire body in a blanket and not expect to draw attention.
Especially when you're the size of a house.
Right.
Yeah.
You're twice the size of any other man.
All right.
Everyone's going to notice it.
Yeah, in a cloak, whispering towards vegetables.
Like, at the very best case scenario, it's like, what is that ox doing covered in a blanket?
Exactly. Can it talk?
But Samson is, of course, begins a daring escape. And so he throws a large cart at them with relative ease. And I thought this was relatively well done.
Yeah.
The cart sort of is just thrown.
Yeah.
And the guys are like, oh shit, he just threw a cart at him.
Yeah, they do a good job of, his strength looks realistic.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And I had a thought, because this is when I really realized that the riddles thing is a back and forth thing, because they're literally running away from guards. And he's like, hey, here's a riddle.
Yeah,
He's like, oh, here's the answer to your riddle. And I was like,
were riddles big back then?
I don't know.
Is that in the Bible?
But it's just like this weird gimmick. And we're going to have to deal with it the whole movie. I thought it was going to be a lot more.
I think it's their attempt at humor.
Yeah.
Except for nobody finds riddles funny. They're like knock-knock jokes.
That was my next question. Do these people who wrote this movie not realize that the Riddler is the bad guy? And part of that is because he's really annoying.
Yeah. No, that's a great point.
He's an asshole. Like, even when, and this is true in comic books sometimes, he is a good guy.
Yes.
He's still an asshole. Everyone hates him.
Yeah, unless...
It's like, well, at least you're on the right side of things.
Except when he's Jim Carrey, and then he's the most lovable.
That's because he was the Joker in a riddle costume.
Okay, I could get that. He did riddles, though.
He did do riddles.
God, I love Jim Carrey.
So, Samson ruins the temple ceremony, he steals the food, and he throws the gold from the collection into the crowd before he and Caleb split up. And of course, now he's isolated. So, Samson beats the ass of some of these guards before he stops to flirt with some pretty girls.
Yeah, he is horny.
Horny Samson. Of course, if they didn't have such weird and oppressive sexual, rules, he would probably be less horny. And after he runs away from the pretty girls because the guards are still chasing him, Samson meets up with Caleb, who we find dressed as a woman. Of course, we don't see what happened there, except he just says, let's never speak of this again.
Right.
And then they just run away.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's our cold-ish open.
Yep. So funny.
It was so funny. So great. I mean, I have to confess, it was relatively competent.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's uninspiring. It wasn't super thrilling or anything, but it was not a mess. And we've seen chase scenes. We've seen action scenes.
Yeah, no, this is competently done.
Yes. Overall, movie is competent.
If woodenly acted, it is competently directed.
Right. Samson even seems like a real person because at least he likes girls.
The only people who are real are people who like girls.
No, but I mean, he's not some stoic weirdo who's just super strong and super devout and has no real personality. His personality is very shallow.
Stupid.
Yeah. But it's at least, I like women.
Yeah.
That is a character
He has
trait.
a thing.
Unlike...
And his thing is the ladies.
We've seen entire movies with about married couples where they barely like each other.
Right.
Let alone love each other.
I totally get that, yes.
So I'm going to give him some credit for making Samson a person who has interests that a person might have.
Okay.
Instead of being married to someone who he loathes.
Yeah, you're right. Especially compared to the last few things that we've done. This is at least a character trait that we're witnessing.
Right. I'm not saying it's the most clever character trait. It's just a trait.
Right.
And I guess that sort of tells you where the quality of our movies we watch are.
Yes.
Where I'm thinking any character trait is a
bonus.
Plus.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, they gave us a character trait.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the only one he or any of the quote unquote good people have.
Oh, yeah.
Our bad guys have personality traits.
Mm-hmm. The bad guys are the best part of this movie.
100%. I can't wait to talk about them.
So we're moving on to the settlement of the tribe of Dan. This is the tribe from which Samson comes. And Philistines come in and they torment the Hebrews for more tribute. If they don't give enough, next month is just going to be doubled. And so an old man comes and he asks for mercy from the leader of these Philistines, and that is Prince Rala. He says...
Prince Rala. He's the best.
So good.
It's insane.
So he says to Prince Rala, the tribe starves while we give your wheat to you, and it just grows moldy in your barns. So why not take mercy on us and just let us keep some of it?
Right.
And so the Prince Rala, he says, I have heard your cry for mercy. And he's sort of announcing to the crowd. He's trying to make a show of it. And I will give this man mercy. He shall never hunger again. And of course, he's a cartoonish bad guy.
Cartoon.
So he murders...
He's also, at first I thought he was a woman in drag.
He's very pretty.
Yeah, you know who he is, right? Jackson Rathbone?
He's the guy from Twilight.
Yeah, he's Jasper from Twilight. Mm-hmm. He also has RDF.
What is RDF?
Resting duck face.
Oh. Yeah, I've seen this, yeah.
His face is always doing that, like, lip pursed thing with his jaws jutted out. It's hilarious. Anyway, he did it all through Twilight, too. It's just his face.
Okay. Yeah, he was also... Wasn't he the last Airbender?
I didn't see that.
No, don't. But I know. Think he was in it.
I have no idea.
Okay, so... Yeah, Jackson Rathbone, Jasper from Twilight, Prince Rala, is a cartoonish bad guy. So he murders the old guy, and then asks if anyone else would like his mercy today. It's like, come on, man. I've known you for 25 seconds.
He was overflowing with personality.
It's true. And so Samson arrives home, and he is told by his parents of the events that he's missed, mostly that the guy got murdered, and told that he is the man of prophecy, that is supposed to be the hand of God's vengeance. But Samson rejects his supposed destiny, because while this is God's will, it is not Samson's. He's done everything he's supposed to do. He's got 3 vows that he has not broken. He doesn't drink, he has not ever touched the dead, and he hasn't cut his hair his entire life. And yet they're still not free, and there's still no peace.
Yeah, good things to bring up, yeah.
What the hell, damn God?
Why am I even doing this?
And it's a fair point. And this, I guess, is one other trait that Samson has, is he's mostly rejecting his so-called destiny. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah, I get that.
I mean, I've done what I'm supposed to do, and it still hasn't worked. And yeah, like you said, it's fair. Like, why would you not think that? And it comes up multiple times in this movie, and yet it's never really answered.
You're right.
So Prince Rala reports to Billy fucking Zane.
Billy fucking Zane in a toy hat.
Billy Zane plays the king, and he's also Rala's dad. But he's not going to have a name as the king because he's Billy Zane, and Billy Zane transcends names.
There's a lot of tan face in this movie.
Yes,
because there is no one whiter than Billy Zane. And he's supposed to be king of the Philistines.
Philistines, yeah. Yeah, he's browner than normal Billy Zane.
So is Rathbone. Like, he's pale as hell, too. I'm not going to say brown face, but they definitely applied a lot of Jurgen's skin tinter.
So, told the tale of Samson's supposed savior role, Rala is told to investigate. He thinks it beneath him, but Billy Zane says that with hope comes rebellion.
Please call him Zilly Bane. That's his alter ego.
But with hope comes rebellion, and he will do as he's told by his king father, Zillybane.
Zilly.
So now they're walking with their donkey, and Samson is confronted with a fight, because there is a new Philistine fighter who is apparently unbeatable in the pits, and he mocks the Hebrews and their God. So of course Samson rushes off to battle, and so we watch this big dude, before Samson gets involved, take on multiple men at once.
Yep.
And Caleb knows that it's an obvious trap, because it is. And Samson is kind of aware of it, but he's too curious not to take a look. And so, predictably, he gets into a fist fight, mostly because he gets in the ring and starts it.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I'm just gonna go down there and look. And then he steps in and he's like, I'm gonna beat you up now.
Yeah, no, his arrogance over...
Yes.
Yeah, overpowers.
And, of course, Prince Rala has taken a note from Samson, and he is watching from the crowd, dressed in a complete shroud.
Yes.
He's also just standing up, completely covered up. But he's inconspicuous, of course.
His brother looks like a fake person, by the way. Like, there's something about his brother's face that I'm like, what is that? That's not a human.
He's a weird looking guy.
And you think it's just like the fake hair? Because it's definitely a wig, and then he has like a fake beard later, and it makes him look like a not person.
Yeah, it's
like
weird.
An alien in a human body.
It's weird to look at him. And here's another thing about the weird disguises people use in this movie, of just covering their whole bodies.
Put a blanket on their head? Yeah.
It's the middle of the fucking desert. Do you not think people are going to draw attention to the person who's covering themselves up, making themselves warmer, in the middle of the desert?
Yeah, but I actually think people did that. Like, it's lighter cloth, but it's to protect them from the sun.
I get that, but like completely shrouded, like you have just a heavy down comforter on.
Yeah, no, that's different.
Because you need shield covering just to keep your
women I guess had to do it.
But it's very different if you're just like, I'm just gonna wear as many layers as I can get, because then you won't see my face.
You look like a Sith Lord.
Exactly, you look fucking crazy. So that's all I'm saying.
I'm with you.
And Samson is, of course, taking notice of a pretty girl who is watching the fight.
Immediately distracted.
Yeah, he's immediately distracted. She is reluctantly doing it. She actually doesn't like watching fights. But he sees her and he's like, oh, I need to find out who she is. And he literally tells Caleb, find out who that girl is.
Yeah, while he's in the ring.
Uh-huh. He gets, like, thrown to the side.
He gets punched twice just because he's looking at her.
And of course, Samson appears to be defeated for just a moment. He's knocked to the ground, but he's granted strength from God. And so he stands back up on his feet, and he destroys this big motherfucker by picking up a tremendous papier-mâché rock and almost smooshing him.
Almost.
But he does not. And so he wins a big bag of silver for himself and the attention of the pretty girl.
Yep.
Because he's very strong and merciful. He did not smoosh him. He did it for money, by the way.
Yeah.
He was gonna smash him. And the guy who was running the fight said, I'll give you a bag of silver if you don't murder him. He's like, fine, I won't murder him.
Sweet money.
It's like, you're not a good guy in that case. You
No.
got paid off not to murder a guy.
Yeah, nothing he does is good guy. He doesn't do any good guy things, actually.
He does almost no good guy things.
Almost no good guy things.
So he's back at home, and his dad, who is Rutger fucking Hauer,
Is
in this movie.
I know, it's the weirdest cast. Billy Zane and Rutger Hauer? Is that something that you would have ever dreamed?
I mean, I know Rutger Hauer's kind of made weird movies recently. He did Hobo with a Shotgun.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, that was
I knew that movie. I know that movie, but I never saw it.
He was the hobo with the shotgun.
Gotcha.
But really? He's down here?
I don't know, man.
Like,
I think he just takes work. There's a lot of actors that literally just take what's offered. Yeah. Like, it's a job, you know? It's like Christopher Walken. He doesn't turn down roles unless he's already made a commitment to another role.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't hate this movie.
Yeah.
It's just a weird, mostly bad choice.
Yeah.
Like, it's not awful, but really, it's better than you.
I just wish I knew. I would love to know how much the top players here were paid.
Absolutely.
Like the biggest names. Because the movie couldn't have. I looked it up. They don't have the budget out there that you can see, but they're guessing around $3 million was the cost of this thing. Mm-hmm. They made money back, but
yeah, that looks about right.
Yeah,
I'm not the expert in.
So looking at how much it seemed like the production value was, I can't imagine these guys got paid that much.
Right. His dad is disappointed in Samson for becoming arrogant and not seeing the bigger picture of things. You know, he's engaging in petty fights in the pits and knocking on girls rather than his real role.
And his dad's right.
You're right. And on their way back, the giant guy, Philistine, who was fighting Samson, and the pretty girl are confronted by Rala. And he kills the big guy for failing to beat up Samson, and he forces the pretty girl and her master, that's why she's there, into Rala's service until the debt is paid. And so he's still being cartoonishly evil, and it's really impossible for me to take him seriously.
It really is.
He's got like...
But my face lit up every time he's on the screen. I'm like, oh, what's he gonna do this time?
He is the best character.
Yeah.
He's just also absurd.
The most absurd. He's the most over the top. He chews the fuck out of the scenery.
All of it.
All of it, yeah.
And so Rala and Billy Zane do some plotting. And Samson watches some more women while Caleb comes by and reports that he's learned the identity of the pretty girl. She's Taryn. Of course, the bad news is... she is in the service of Rala now. And by Taryn, I mean that's her name, Taryn.
Her name is Taryn.
Yes. So Samson is super creepy, and he follows Taryn into a barn in the middle of the city.
Yep.
Where she engages in some light banter with him rather than stabbing him.
Well, she was like crying into some wheat, so I think he was just like, what's up? Yeah, okay. He did follow her.
Yeah, so stab him.
Yeah. Well, he didn't, at least he followed her, but he didn't get so close. He didn't get like right up on her or anything.
That's true.
He's just like, why are you crying? She's like, why the fuck are you following me?
Right. But he asks, they have this stupid conversation, and he asks her to meet him tomorrow night, so we'll see what happens there. And she should meet him, and of course bring a knife for stabbing him. Yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah, she's into him.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. But
it's not weird. Women are into men who look like houses. I've learned this from movies.
That's true.
He's like a Khal Drogo type, but also with like that really prominent like Neanderthal thing. What's it called? It's like
it's got some scientific word, I don't know it.
Supraorbital ridge.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. It's intense, and seems to have skipped a generation because nobody else's family has it.
Well, he was chosen by God to have super strength and a supraorbital ridge.
And to look like a Native American.
Yeah.
He actually looks a lot like Taylor Lautner, to make another...
I 100% thought it was him for a minute.
It's like Taylor Lautner on a lot of steroids.
Yeah.
Another Twilight reference.
So back home, the tribe asks who will be their representative. And because Samson doesn't actually want to do it and is an asshole, he gets some pushback when people say, like, when Caleb says it should be him, Like, no, he's fucking crazy, and he's bad at everything, and he's irresponsible, and he's always trying to, like, get with my sister. And so Caleb threatens that he will have Samson remove his protection from the tribe if they continue along this path of insulting him. And he more or less scares them into accepting that Samson should be their leader, and the leaders are called judges. Mm-hmm. Hence the book of Judges from which the story comes.
You did not make that connection.
And so Samson and Taryn begin their dramatic and inspiring love story, but I'm skipping it because it sucks.
It does.
They do kiss in a really awkward fashion, and so that's pretty funny.
Yeah, when they're like, sitting on the beach or something.
Yeah. And like one of them sort of just like...
Yeah, it was icky. No, it was
icky. And you can see their face trembling as they have to do it. Like, I don't want to.
And they both do that like shy, like, they do that like shy smile afterwards, like, tee.
We liked that, right? Totally.
No one liked it. I didn't like it.
So now we're back at Rolla's home, and he argues with his wife, Delilah. This is important for anyone who knows this story.
Everyone knows. If you know Samson, you know Delilah.
Right.
It's the two names that go together.
So he's arguing with Delilah, who is his wife, and she believes that Billy Zane deserves a little more respect, while Rolla just counts down the days until he dies so that he can be the king.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, gets mad at her, and he says, don't question me, and some crazy, cartoony, bad guy shit.
Yeah.
And so Samson asks Taryn to marry him, and he will stop at nothing until he can get his parents to give him their blessing. And of course, he goes to them and he asks them about it, and they're upset because he's chosen his bride, not from the tribe, not even that far, but literally a daughter of the enemy.
Right, very Romeo and Juliet.
Yes. And of course, Samson points out that Taryn's not actually the daughter of the enemy. She's forced into their service and doesn't want to be there.
Right.
But he leaves...
It's a good argument.
He leaves the conversation in a huff, and it never really gets resolved. But Samson walks into the woods now because he's asking God for a sign that he's the one that's supposed to lead the Hebrews. And he does get one. A fucking lion.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It means God was trying to kill him again.
Yeah, so the lion attacks him.
Yeah.
Samson murders it.
I hated it. I'm like, leave the lion alone.
He also does it really easily.
He really does. Like the lion's on him and then he's dead.
Yeah, like he's playing it for fear. Like he's like, lion. Oh God, lion. But then he just snaps its neck and it's dead now. Like he doesn't get harmed or scratched or bitten.
Yeah, no. And I like the lion. I was on the lion's side. This is just like, oh my gosh, what was that Leonardo DiCaprio movie where he was cold for a long time?
The Revenant.
Yeah, it was like that one. I was on the bear side the whole, like, I really hate that bear died. He's just protecting his her young.
Right. So, I don't know what kind of insane plan this is supposed to indicate, but Samson apologizes to God for doubting his plan. So apparently the lion sign worked.
Yeah.
Whatever it was supposed to mean.
And yeah, this isn't the last time that the lion boggles me, so keep going.
Yeah. So Taryn talks to Delilah, who is Rolla's wife, about getting married to Samson. And Delilah begins to plot. She basically tints her fingers and says, "Oh, I have a good plan."
Yeah. Also, they look very similar.
They look 100% the same.
Yeah. Delilah's slightly older.
And she convinces Rolla to allow the marriage to happen because it will pacify Samson, so he will have less motivation to raise a hand against them. Because if they can tame Samson, they can take the throne for themselves.
She should be the leader.
Absolutely. So they're back to this weird lion thing. Samson goes back into the woods, he finds its corpse, it's all rotted.
Yeah.
And inside is a honeycomb.
Yeah, the bees have taken up nests, which is that a normal thing?
I don't know.
Like in currently rotting corpses. Like I get it like in actual bones, it's just a shell. But it's not rotted enough to where other animals aren't coming over to eat some more meat off of it.
I have no idea. I don't think it would be a thing.
I am baffled by this. So anyway, he pulls out a honeycomb.
And then he eats it.
Yep. Straight out of the chest of the lion he murdered.
So my note is literally, I hope this is coming back because it's bizarre.
This is weird. And it does come back, but I don't think it's weirder.
Yeah, it only gets stranger. So we're at Samson's wedding because Rolla has let this marriage happen between his slave and Samson. Mm-hmm. And Rolla offers him a drink. But of course we know Samson does not drink. He's not allowed.
Right.
So but Rolla thinks that's pretty weird. Like, you don't drink at all? That's fucking strange.
It's your wedding.
Yeah, it's your wedding. Have fun.
And then he falls for the line, "It's not wine. Just drink it."
Because Samson is very stupid.
He's a moron. Another thing we learned from movies, you can't be strong and smart at the same time. You're one or the other.
And so this situation degenerates because Samson's upset that he was tricked into drinking wine, and Rolla is taunting Samson about not being very smart, which we've just demonstrated.
Also, we watched what he spit out. He spit out water. Did you see?
Yeah.
You could see it.
And
they could at least make it cranberry juice or something that looks similar.
But Samson rises to the taunting and insists that he's smarter than Rolla. And so Rala, I'm going to say that all night.
It doesn't matter.
Get it right.
I don't know.
So Rala proposes a riddle. Oh, joy. I'd forgotten about riddles. This is going to be fun.
I hate this so much.
I'm not going over them because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Samson doesn't get the answer.
No, and it was so simple. I knew it immediately.
Yeah. And so he challenges the entire group in the room, all of the men in the room, no women, all the men.
Yes, women are dumb. They can't solve riddles.
To solve his own riddle. And if they fail, he gets all of their clothes. That's 30 tunics for him. Mm-hmm. And if they get it, Rala threatens to kill either Samson or Taryn.
It's not really a fair trade.
Not remotely.
Yeah. But anyway, please read this riddle.
I mean, he really says you owe me 30 tunics back, and if you can't pay it, I'll kill one of them.
Right. Still, there's murder involved.
Right. So the stupid honey thing comes back pretty quickly, because this is the next scene. And Samson's riddle is, out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet.
So the answer to his riddle is a lion full of honey.
Yeah.
That's not a riddle.
That's not a riddle at all.
That's a weird, you're just remembering a weird happenstance from your life that nobody else could possibly reference.
Yeah, that's not a riddle in any definition of riddle.
It made me so mad, Josh. I was so angry.
Yeah, but I was just like...
And he's so smug about it. He's like, you'll never guess this one. I'm like, there are lots you can't... It's easy to make a riddle that no one can guess if it makes no goddamn sense.
Phil, I have a riddle for you.
What?
What is the name of the first pet I ever had? Oh, you don't know the answer?
I owe you...
Guess you're a fucking idiot.
Exactly.
That's what this riddle is.
You didn't know that I ate honey out of a corpse?
That I murdered with my hands?
Moron.
It's so fucking dumb.
I hate it. Let's go.
But Rala obviously doesn't know the answer because who would?
Right.
And he forces Taryn to find the answer and tell it to him so that he can win the wager. Otherwise, she will kill her dad. And so Taryn manipulates Samson seriously hard. She's like, you're supposed to tell me the answer to the riddle. We're husband and wife.
We can't have any secrets. And he's just like, okay. All right, honey.
And so he reveals the answer to her, but only while Delilah is overhearing. So she's like on the staircase and she's listening.
Yeah. I wish her face had reflected how stupid the answer was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She was just like, oh, wow.
Yeah. He's like, what's sweeter than honey? What's stronger than a lion? Or something like that. I'm like, what are you talking? Now, is this another riddle?
Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So the next morning, Samson comes over to Rala for the answer to his riddle. And Rala has the right answer that he got from Delilah. And so now Samson must find 30 tunics and give them back. Or Taryn's gonna die.
Yeah.
Also, he realizes that Taryn betrayed him, even though technically she's not the one who did.
Because bitches be trifling.
At least.
Well, I mean, she did trick it. She tricked him into saying it out loud, by using her wiles.
Right. But she's not the one who actually gave Rala the answer. I don't know if it's important. It's not going to matter. We'll see.
I just figured it was all part of the plan.
Yeah, have Delilah get the answer. I get it.
Right.
So another epic battle scene plays out because Samson runs off and he finds a bunch of soldiers and he wants their clothes.
Yeah.
And of course they're like, no.
Well, yeah, he's drinking their water and they're mad about it.
Yeah, and he's like, give me your clothes. And we're like, no.
Right. So can I say?
Yeah. You can do this part. It's fine.
He punches a man in the tummy and he dies.
Punches him so hard his heart explodes.
In the tummy, though. And
he punches him in his stomach so hard his heart explodes.
Well, you're adding that. We don't know that.
But it's just,
can you punch someone's... Can someone have a tummy punch that kills them?
You could, yeah. You could, rupture their...
I guess,
any of their organs, really.
But would it be that immediate? I feel like they'd have to... It would be a slow bleed, internal bleed out.
It'd probably take a while.
Yeah. There's a guy runs up, he's like, he's dead! He feels his pulse or whatever.
Theoretically, you could punch someone hard enough to kill them instantly.
It was just very funny to me.
Yeah. You could theoretically hit someone that hard, but it would probably, also... They would bleed.
Yeah.
Because there's no blood.
Right.
You just hit this man, and they're like, holy shit, he's dead.
It would be all the internal bleeding, and it would be slow and painful.
Or even fast, but still, more than 1 second.
Right.
30 seconds.
Slower than stabbing him in the heart.
Right. So, but I would say it's possible. If you get hit by a car, it's similar.
Just in the tummy.
Yeah, a car just hits you in the butt.
Right in the tum-tum.
That's what happened to Kara last week.
Who?
Kara from God Frighted Me.
Oh, yeah.
She got hit only in the stomach with a car.
No, that was her hip. It was on her side. But she had no blood either, huh?
She almost died. See? Possible. Her heart stopped. She almost died.
Stupid.
And I would argue the Philistines in this time period, they weren't really sure he's dead, just they could only tell he wasn't breathing and his heart had stopped, maybe?
Right.
So, we don't know he's dead.
Right.
Just that he's dying.
He looks to be dead.
And of course, because they can't fix it, he's gonna die.
Right, this is how people always got buried alive back in the day.
Right, so he's, best case scenario, worst case scenario, really, he's dying.
Right.
And it's still fair to say,
yeah,
he's dead.
I loved it.
Because
that was my favorite murder scene.
Yeah, because no one in that camp is going to be able to fix him. So he's dead.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, sorry, that was a weird...
No, this is just, I loved this scene.
Yeah, the drama's high, the blood is pumping, and he kills every man here.
Slaughters the entire group because he told a bad riddle.
Yeah, and now he has to get their tunics.
So many women and children without husbands now.
And now, because he's surrounded by corpses and he needs their clothes, he has to break his vow of not touching the dead. Because he's not supposed to touch any dead.
Right.
But he needs their bodies.
A weird vow.
It's a Nazarite thing, apparently. Mm. Yeah.
It's probably good for them with disease spreading.
That's probably part of it. Mm. So he does reluctantly grab their tunics off their bodies, and he takes those back to Rala, who is a cartoon again. Mm-hmm. And so he has canceled the wedding, and he will force Samson to work in the mines for killing all of the soldiers.
He completely forgot his entire plan.
The plan was to let him have his marriage so he's satisfied and happy.
And so that you have him on your side, man. And meanwhile, Delilah's in the background going like, you son of a bitch.
Stupid asshole.
Stupid
You are
son
so
of a
dumb.
Bitch. He is really dumb. Honestly, comparably dumb. Comparably. Comparably? He's as stupid as Samson, is what I'm saying. Yeah. He's just way more dramatic and hilarious.
And he has more, like, overt power, so he exercises it differently.
Yes.
In stupid ways.
Yes.
So Samson runs away because he's pissed off and he doesn't want to go to the mines, and he finds a cute little fox family.
I hate this so much.
So this is insane. He ties branches to the foxes, and then he lights the
branches
foxes
on fire. Yeah. And therefore the foxes, because that fire's not going to stop when it gets to the tail. It's going to burn those things alive. Right. This is horrific, and I have not been harder against a hero in my life. I'm at this point completely against him and can't wait for him to die.
Let's get the story so far.
Okay.
He murdered a lion.
Yeah.
At least the lion was attacking him, so that's something. He then kills 30 guys because he wants their clothes.
Yes.
That's Terminator shit. Literally, the first episode, the first movie of the Terminator
reference, yes.
was the bad Terminator coming to town, killing men for their clothes.
100%.
That's how we're supposed to know, oh, this thing is bad. Then he meets some cute foxes, and he kills them.
Yes.
And worse,
it was an entire cave full of sweet little foxes with their floof tails.
And why did he set the foxes on fire? Because they're going to run through the fields of wheat and set those on fire, thereby also killing possibly hundreds of others. And he's not killing Philistines. He's going to kill people like his own.
They don't have food now. Granted, they didn't really before because they had to give all their food to the government.
That's my point. But when they have to give it now, you think the Philistines are going to be like, oh, well, here's some back for you so you don't starve to death. No, they're going to keep it for their own people.
100%. And it's all like his stupid, unthought out plan to get his wife back. And how does that turn out, Josh?
Oh, wait. No, we're not done yet.
Oh, we're not?
We're still... As the fields are on fire, Rala comes out and he's like, oh, what's going on? There's a lot of fire. That's bad. Samson is in the middle of the field and he says, return me my wife or the fields burn.
He says, release my wife.
Release my wife.
So important. Go on.
You cannot put these fires out. No. These fields are on fire anyway. Yeah. Samson has no plan for actually helping.
These foxes are not a part of this. They're not on your command. They're running away from fire that's on them.
Like, best case scenario, Samson can put out one of the small fires.
Right.
The rest of the field is already on fire. It's done.
Yeah, and it's moving quickly, and the foxes are still running through it. There is no end game. This is the dumbest plan, and all he did was murder.
Yeah.
Innocent animals and innocent people.
And, to get to the end of this story.
Oh, God.
As Hillary pointed out, it is important to say that Samson said, release my wife.
Right.
So Rala brings her up to the top of the castle walls, and he literally releases her.
Pushes her right off the edge.
Into the fire, into the field. She was dead before she hit the ground.
All of this murder was for naught. It was already for naught. But now, he didn't even get the one thing he wanted out of it.
So this means war,
I hate this movie, Josh.
It's so fucking stupid. And I know this, this is something I alluded to in the Ramayana episode we just did, is that a lot of myth and legend and mythology sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
When you read it.
Yes.
And this is all, as far as I know, this is all legit. which means Samson was always an idiot, even in the original story. Like, why are you so stupid? This is not a good plan. Like, if you want to just piss him off, it's a great plan.
Right.
But she's.
Do you know? Have you read the passages? Do you remember?
I don't remember this specifically, but I'm pretty sure it's an allusion to, because I remember like foxes of flame, like it's something.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's. I'm pretty sure it's accurate.
Cool. So animal cruelty, count 2.
Yes. So of course Rala captures Samson's family, and Caleb finds Samson in his cave, where he convinces him to take up his place as a leader of their people.
That's his crying cave. He stole it from the foxes.
He did, because he killed them. And they're choosing to finally fight back. So Samson says that my hands truly will save our people. But by this, he means he's going to surrender. And so he goes, and he's arrested, and that will help the village be spared. Mm-hmm. And of course, Rala, because he's a cartoon and an idiot.
Yes.
Before Samson is killed, says to him, I'm gonna burn this entire village to the ground before your head hits the ground. And then he murders his dad.
Yeah.
He kills Samson's dad, Rutger Hauer.
He cannot enter a scene without murdering someone.
Right.
Every single scene he's in, he kills someone for seemingly no reason.
And he can't pull off a plan without undoing his own plan.
Yeah.
Because he says, I'm gonna murder everyone here. So Samson, of course, breaks out of the ropes, and he doesn't get executed, and he begins to fight back, and this is when he picks up the jawbone of an ass.
Yeah, and I fast forward through this entire thing. I fast forward through all the fight scenes, actually.
That's fair. He proceeds to kill 1,000 people with said jawbone.
Yeah, over the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, and the action it's fine. It's just pretty uninspired, I think. And after the first 100 or so, the soldiers finally stop doing the stupid kung fu movie thing.
Yep.
Where they come in one at a time so he can kill him. And they jump on top of him. They don't all just stab him at once. They jump on top of Samson.
They try to put him out like a fire.
Right, so they can swarm him and he'll be stuck underneath. And just for a second, they think, we've got him, he can't move. And then, of course, Samson prays. And he bursts out. Rah!
We know God's with him when his hands start shaking.
Right.
God gave him Parkinson's to let him know.
He's got a trimmer.
Yeah.
The trimmer of God. Oh, that would have been a good nickname.
Trimmer of God.
AKA the trimmer of God. But of course, Samson muscles them off of him, and then they go back to kung fu tactics where they just come one at a time and he kills everyone.
Cool.
I want to point out that if we assume the story is true, let's assume that this story of Samson is a real story.
Okay.
Samson is one of the most prolific mass murderers in history.
Without a doubt.
Like, honestly, he doesn't stand up to like Stalin and Hitler and Mao, because those guys killed millions.
Right.
Not themselves.
True.
Samson killed 1,000 people with his hands.
own hands.
He's possibly killed the most people ever.
You're absolutely
Except for
right.
maybe Genghis Khan.
I mean, there's some, maybe Genghis Khan. But even then, that was more of his troops, too.
That was his troops, but I'm sure he did lots of murdering himself.
I'm sure he did. Yeah. Oh, we know he did. But
I would say Genghis Khan is at least in the hundreds. We just don't know thousands.
But he doesn't have the supernatural abilities that Samson has.
Right.
So.
But, like, Samson is, if we assume the story's true, is possibly the most murderous person in the history of the world. That's fucking crazy.
That is crazy.
At least
also,
when you count personal.
Makes me a little more respectful.
At least when you count personal kills versus just, like, orders.
Right.
Because Rala in this movie, for instance, he kills many, but he doesn't actually kill that many.
Definitely not 101 sweep.
Right.
It's like
1,000.
Was it 1,000 in an afternoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you there's no serial killer on record killing that many.
Exactly. So, point is, he murders all these people. And Rala finally confronts Samson, but he's quickly put down. He tries to actually fight him, but he just throws him into the pile of corpses. But he doesn't actually kill Rala.
I think he thought he was dead, though.
He thought he did.
Because he seemed dead.
But it seems like the sort of thing that you would be sure about.
I mean...
Like, you murdered my wife, you murdered my dad, you tried to threaten my people, you tried to kill me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, like, choke the life out of you myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be sure, not just gonna hit you in the face.
That's not the kind of murderer he is. He's like, he responds to being attacked, and because of his strength, people just die. I don't think he's trying to necessarily murder every single one of them. They just happen to die because he's so strong.
No, I know, but
but I think that was also his reaction to this guy. He's like, he's in my way. So now he's not in my way anymore. I'm going to go home.
That's fair.
Because he's stupid.
I know, but like, this is the one guy he should want to murder.
Right.
He's the guy who just killed his wife, like,
in front of him.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like,
horrifically.
He killed his dad 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He threatened to kill
No, I know. I'm with you.
He's killed other people mostly accidentally, or at least not accidentally, but like without caring about it.
Right.
This is the one guy he needs to actually kill.
No, I'm with you.
I'm just saying.
I know.
But Rolla's not actually dead. He's just knocked aside. And so Samson goes home.
Now he's got a sweet scar, too.
He's got a cool eye.
Just like Scar, actually. Right over his eyeball, like the lion.
So Samson goes home and he finally becomes the judge of his tribe. And he's in charge now. So we're told that Samson has the strength of a god. From Rolla to Billy Zane. And Billy Zane insists that Samson bleeds and is therefore not a god. But Rolla is now sent to tell the Hebrews that the Philistines will not retaliate against this if Samson agrees to stop his own violence. And, of course, this is what's going to happen, but Rolla is also shook in his faith for Dagon, for he has seen a true God in Samson, and so he hatches a plan to take Samson's power for himself.
Yep.
So now we're skipping several years.
Yay.
And no violence has happened, but the Hebrews still have their food taken by the Philistines, and they are on the brink of starvation. So he goes to Gaza to sue for freedom, and he swears that he will return to the tribe with freedom, or he will not return at all. And so Rolla is outraged that Samson is in the city, but Billy Zane is willing to negotiate with Samson. And apparently this is when he finds out that Rolla's alive. Because he sees him and he goes, oh.
Huh. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you were alive. Cool.
Sweet Scar.
So stupid. Like you wouldn't even have noticed in the past several years.
I don't know, man.
Alright, whatever. Samson threatens Billy Zane with the wrath of God if he does not reduce the tribute from the Hebrews. But of course, Billy Zane rejects this offer because he doesn't fear weather and other nonsense that God does.
He doesn't really seem to do much, but just sit.
He's
and
the king.
Eat near pretty ladies.
So instead, he counteroffers. If Samson disappears completely and is never seen or heard from again, Billy Zane will give his people their food back. And of course, this is sort of, they're negotiating. It's not really settled yet.
And it doesn't really matter because nobody actually keeps their promises in this movie.
And no one
so
cares.
whatever negotiation happens, it doesn't matter.
And so
Rolla's going to do what he wants.
And so Samson is offered a stay at a certain type of inn, despite being told that it
A
is...
certain type of inn.
Well, he is told to his face, we're very discreet, and we don't ask any questions.
Right, and he's like, okay,
I'll just go there.
I will sleep in your bed.
But then when he gets there, he's aghast at this establishment.
I wouldn't be here if I knew what kind of place it was. I'm like, well, any fucking moron with 2 brain cells could have figured out what kind of place this was.
She told you they're discreet and don't ask questions.
Yeah.
Like,
how many hotels tell you that? Every time I go to Marriott, they're like, just so you know.
we're very discreet.
We're very discreet. We never ask questions.
Like, ooh, can I have my money back? I don't want to be here.
Like, oh.
But Delilah arrives at this secret hotel motel to speak with Samson, and she pretends to be against Rolla now, that she knows what he's capable of, since he threw that girl off the roof into a fire. And so the city hunts...
Also, she does seem to genuinely not like her husband at all, so I would buy this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we also know from the previous scene that they're together because he hatched a plan with her
Yeah.
to get his power. So it's like, is she believable? Let's find out.
What would you find out?
And the city is hunting for Samson because, of course, he killed thousands of people.
Everyone?
And so
everyone knows, it's one of those things he was so prolific that everyone in the city knows someone that was murdered by Samson.
So they're coming after him. And so the mob comes for him and he escapes with Delilah, the classic maneuver of hiding around a corner.
Yeah. Ducking around the corner and getting real close.
And he takes a moment to be distraught because he has no guidance from God and no real hope for his people. When Delilah offers him a hideout in a different village where she has a house. And so he departs after another thrilling chase scene, literally pulling the city gates off of their hinges after he's shot with arrows.
Yeah.
So we know he can be wounded.
He broke arrows off in his own body.
That's right.
How did that, or I guess she dresses his wounds, but I just can't imagine that healing well in that time period.
Yeah.
Go on.
But he breaks the hinges off of the city gate, and it's, super dramatic. And
Looks pretty rad, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, I guess. And so now a bunch of bullshit happens, and I don't care. But basically, Delilah and Samson are together now. But she is still working for Rolla, or with Rolla, who may or may not be her husband. I don't know. Who really knows?
It was her husband. He called her wife, and she called him husband.
During this scene?
No, way back. They don't get divorced.
You don't know.
Is that even allowed?
I don't know.
And also, they would have said something if they were.
They don't seem...
She's just trifling.
They don't seem like they're together, but they don't seem like they're not together.
I don't know. This movie doesn't make sense.
That's what I said. Who knows?
Yeah, go on.
She implores him to just leave Samson be, because Samson isn't interested in continuing their feud, but Caleb, Samson's brother, is gathering a group of men, and he wants to attack Gaza so that they can get their people's freedom. So Delilah eventually persuades Samson to tell her how he maintains his godly strength.
And he's like, okay.
I'm really
This
dumb.
worked out last time a girl told me I had to tell her things.
Oh, and we're going to talk about this at the end, but this is worse in the Bible than it is in this movie.
Oh, okay.
But he says that the only one of his Nazirite vows that he has not broken is to not cut his hair. And he fears that if he breaks all 3 of his vows, he expects his strength to leave him. So, of course, Delilah's going to cut that shit.
Yeah,
Bam.
obviously.
He falls asleep, choppity chop, he gets captured. I'm going to skip through it because it's not that interesting.
It's just so obvious. Everything is obvious.
He also gets captured alongside his brother, who was coming to attack the city.
Mm-hmm. It looks like
he's grown a crazy beard.
Oh my God, he looks like Tom Hanks at the end of Castaway. It's embarrassing.
And, of course, when Rala finds that Samson has been captured and is now weak, he gouges out his eyes. And so, can we talk really quickly about how idiotic the vows are?
Yeah.
I don't care, take a vow, I don't care. But God is supposed to know everything. And yet he's not aware that Samson didn't actually drink the wine. And even if he had, he was tricked into it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he didn't break the vows. His vows were forced upon him.
First of all,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Except for the one about touching the dead bodies. He did do that one.
He did do that one.
Reluctantly.
Yeah, so he really only broke one vow.
Right, but he wasn't the one who cut his own hair.
No.
Someone cut his hair for him. Anybody who...
But that's what this God is. That's who this God is.
But the thing that's...
Throughout the Bible.
The thing that's dumb about it is, it's not like the vows are secret. Any Hebrew is aware of these vows, because they're the same for everybody.
I didn't know that. The way they were talking about it seemed like he took these specific ones, and somebody else is like, you can't have any jelly beans.
No, they're for everybody.
Oh, okay.
So, these are just the 3 vows that a Nazirite takes. And he has taken them. So any Hebrew knows this. So it's not even that big a secret.
Right.
Any Hebrew, and let's be honest, there were probably Hebrews who were working with the Philistines, could have just told these people.
Right.
These are the 3 things that'll really fuck him up. And since he's blessed from God, this might mess him up.
Yeah.
There's been trade-off through all.
Well, that's a very good point. I did not know that. So that makes this even stupider.
Well, it makes, in my opinion, the God who adheres to these vows the stupidest. Because anyone knows them, therefore can make him break them. Therefore, God shouldn't count stuff that you didn't do against you.
Maybe he's really being punished for stupidity. Maybe it's not about the vows. It's about being dumb enough for these things to happen to you.
I guarantee you that Hebrew teenagers are messing with other Hebrew teenagers by giving them wine and being like, yeah, here, try this water. And then he drinks the wine and be like, haha, you broke the vow. Because it's not unknown. It's
right.
It's just stupid.
Also, what do they do with their dead if nobody's allowed to touch them?
Some people, not everyone has the vows.
I'm so confused and I don't care. Let's go.
Only the people who are Nazirites take the vows. And even then, it's not necessarily...
in a community of Nazirites.
It's not a community of Nazirites. It's a community of people who know who Nazirites are.
Nope, but I thought that, the village, this is the group of people that were... No?
Just Samson and people like him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, I have levels of confusion.
Yeah, I did some research.
Okay, good.
Nazirite vows are not everyone, and even then, sometimes they're temporary.
So weird. Yeah. This is so unnecessarily complicated.
It was for life.
Yeah.
That was Samson's thing.
Because he's magic.
And yeah. All right, sorry. I just wanted to talk about how stupid the vows are and how stupid
with you.
It makes God look.
Oh my God. Yes.
All right, so Delilah's feeling very remorseful because she didn't want all of this to happen. She did not expect Samson to have his eyes gouged out by a sword.
It's almost like she's never met her husband.
But it's too late now, you big dumb traitor. So Rala...
I thought you were going to say tramp.
Tramp traitor? So Rala asks Samson how he can obtain the same strength that Samson had. But Samson tells him that's not possible. And he even refuses to petition God to grant that power to Rala. Because he's ready to die now. He's broken and he's blinded and he's just done with it. So Billy Zane is arguing with Rala and he tells him to just kill Samson already. Because you have him, you've captured him, he's done, just kill him, it's over.
Right.
But Rala intends to show him off as a trophy to his victory and power, and as a warning to anyone who would hope to stand against him. Mm-hmm. And so Billy Zane insults Rala, his son, who finally murders him and takes his place as king. I'm really curious how he...
Now he gets the plastic crown.
He does. But I'm also curious how he, played this off. Oh, he just died. Don't worry about the stab.
I don't think it matters. I don't think he probably didn't even try to hide it. He's murdering people everywhere, constantly.
He is a cartoon character.
Right. So I've got, the servants come in and he's like, nah, he's dead now. I'm king. They're like, all right.
Yeah. Okay, so, but anyway, he's the king now, and Delilah visits Samson and tells him that she's here to pay for his release, but Samson is aware that she's the one who betrayed him, and so he insists that she spend her silver freeing his brother Caleb instead.
Mm-hmm.
She'll always love him, she says, and Samson tells Caleb to gather their army because they are going to fight after all, and they have to be ready to take the city. And they do this all in front of the prison guard, and why that is, it's unknown. But nothing comes of it, so I guess it doesn't really matter. The guard could easily go to the king, Rala now, and be like, hey, I just heard those guys talking about how they're going to gather an army and, like, come to fight you. And that's why Caleb is in prison in the first place, for trying to gather an army to fight you. So, like, you could arrest him again, but I guess I'm just not going to say anything so you can let him go.
I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty sure it would be reasonable to believe that the guards also don't like Rala.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's just, like, it's also their job.
Yeah.
You probably get a reward from that crazy son of a bitch.
Probably.
Whatever.
A reward with a sword in the tummy.
Yeah, you never know.
That's how he keeps rewarding people.
So after that scene, we have Samson in his cell alone, and he asks God, what is he supposed to do? And apparently he does get an answer, we just don't hear it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know the story, you know what's about to happen. So, do you know the story?
Yep.
Okay. So Rala...
I was rusty on the details, but yes.
Yeah. So Rala brags before the entire city. He's in a temple of Dagon, and he's brought Samson out, and he's just gonna show off that he has subjugated Samson after all. And he picks him up, or holds him up in, like, some crane.
He does a chain. Yeah, they pull him up on a chain.
Yeah, and then they whip him in front of the crowd while he prays to Dagon. And Caleb and Delilah are watching from the crowd. Both, of course, the only people upset about it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, yeah, fuck yeah, kill him!
Yeah, I think I would be part of that crowd.
Samson is a shitty person.
He's a shithead.
And I think this is supposed to be a public execution, just, like, drawn out, really.
Yeah.
So Samson asks God for strength one more time, so that he can die with the Philistines. And a thunderstorm rolls in just as Rala begins to realize what's happening.
He's Thor now.
But it's too late to stop it, and so Samson sort of props himself up on two of the pillars that are holding the temple up, and he just starts to pull the whole building down on top of everybody.
Yeah, he pushes the pillars away from each other, even though they're almost his exact wingspan, so it wouldn't be possible for him to push out any further.
This has always been a problem with me in the Samson story.
Yeah.
Because I know this, and I'm always like, they put pillars about...
Yes, Josh, they put pillars about arm's length.
But I guess if you're, like, crazy strong, you just need your fingertips. You're just
maybe.
Like, pow!
But see, I had remembered it. The story that I remembered, or at least maybe if I saw some cartoon of it or whatever when I was a kid, he was tied to the pillars, like flayed, basically, and he pulled them in.
Yeah.
That made more sense to me.
It has been a common question of whether he pushed or pulled.
Right. Pulling makes sense to me. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Caleb and Delilah Caleb manages to escape. Delilah gets smushed. Everyone else dies, including Samson.
Done.
Caleb gathers up his army, and he goes to take over the city, and the very last shot is the many wars that the Hebrews went through after that, and the very last shot is David picking up a stone so that he can fight the giant Philistine Goliath. Mm-hmm. Dramatic finish, set up for a sequel, end of Samson.
Do you think they're going to do David and Goliath? I bet they do.
No, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as good a story as Samson, so, like...
Yeah. Whatever. Have you heard the theory about how it's more about a bully of a kid murdering somebody with a severe, like, disability?
That's funny.
Because, like, having, like, the giant syndrome, you know, like, he was actually really weak. He's just tall.
He just murders him.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. All right, so let's talk about the best and talk about the worst.
Okay, well, let's see. The best was seeing how fluffy Billy Zane has got since he tried to murder Leonardo DiCaprio in the Titanic.
Uh-huh.
Also, his outfits are hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Also, nope, that's it.
The best for me is going to be... I didn't really love a whole lot of this movie.
I didn't love anything. Let's make that clear.
What am I trying to say? I didn't like much of this.
This is the best of the garbage.
I guess if you're watching a movie about Samson, they pulled off the killing 1,000 guys well enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't super interesting. Like I said, everyone did kung fu tactics for just like, oh, I'll wait for my turn to be murdered by this man. But, like, if you have the sort of low threshold that we do by now, then you're like, okay.
Yeah,
that's the best part of this movie.
It was...
It looked cool.
It did.
Samson looked like a boss.
Yeah,
Dude is in shape.
Which is why I compared it to Zack Snyder, because it's like visually, it's pretty attractive. There's just not a lot there.
No, there's just not a lot. They don't do anything new or interesting. Even Zack Snyder has like an aesthetic that is interesting.
Yeah, visually, except for the stories.
That's what I mean. But aesthetically,
like,
that's even his slow mo stuff kind of works.
Yeah.
It's empty, and this movie is empty without the added flair.
Right. It has more flair than any other movie like this, including all the other pure flicks that we've watched.
Right.
But
not actual flair.
Not enough. Not enough to make it worth it.
Okay. But hey, maybe they're learning.
Maybe.
You know?
I believe they made a little bit of a profit, so my guess is that money's going straight into the next one.
All right, so what's the worst thing of this movie?
It was a full 2 hours.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be.
No. I'm gonna go with you there. It's really long, and it's really dense.
And it felt longer than 2 hours, too.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
The first time I checked the clock was 40 minutes in. I was devastated.
When I started fast-forwarding through the fight scenes, I was like, oh, this is nice. This is the right choice.
Yeah. No, and they're not long enough to really make it worth. Like, it saves you time, but not a ton.
No.
Like,
they're too long. The fight scenes are too long.
But they're not 30 minutes of the movie.
Right.
I wish they were. Then I could save a lot of time, because I would have skipped them, too.
Yes. You know what the worst is for me? How many animals perished because of this guy's stupidity?
Yeah.
I don't even care about everybody else, but how do you look those foxes in the face? And the first thought is, I'm going to set that on fire.
Yeah, but I'm sticking with length, because I did check the timer at about 40 minutes in.
Yeah.
I had an hour to go.
Oof.
An hour and some change.
Yeah, because it's like an hour and 59 minutes or something stupid.
And I only watched it last night, so I didn't have the time to, like, stop and watch it tomorrow.
Right.
I just rubbed I was just like, oh my god, okay, fine, hold on.
You can do this.
Okay, let's go.
And my yesterday was completely full, so I had to watch it this morning, which is why I was running behind, because I woke up later than I expected to.
Alright, so now let's talk about some things that are like this.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
When things when things that we watch remind me of something, I'm going to mention it here. If they don't remind me of anything that I would recommend, I'm just going to recommend something random.
Okay.
Okay? So, I'm going to recommend right now, because I don't like robe sandal movies. I feel like if you like robe sandal movies, watch like Gladiator or something. I get so bored with them. I do not care. I hate, Troy.
They're so serious.
And like, I don't like deserts. So like, I don't like the visuals of deserts. I don't care for the brownness of everything. That's not racism. That is the literal color scheme with sand and dead trees and sadness. So what have I been doing lately? Shit. I had thought of something in the car. You go first. I'll figure it out.
Okay, so I wasn't necessarily thinking of things that are biblical or Samson-y. I was thinking of adaptations that are longer than their source material.
Oh, yeah, that's a good... Yeah, totally.
It's longer than it will take you to just read the story in the Bible.
Yes.
So, I'm going to go with Ultimate Spider-Man.
All right.
The comic book. The original Spider-Man origin story. It's just an example of the decompression. The original Spider-Man origin story is 11 pages total. That's it.
Okay.
The Ultimate Spider-Man origin story is 7 issues. That's over 150 pages.
Wow.
It's fucking crazy.
But is it good?
It's really good.
Okay, that's great.
It's an excellent series. It's one of the better sort of complete series of modern comic books. They launched a new imprint for Marvel books. They were called Ultimate Comics, and that Spider-Man was one of the first ones of those. And it's really great. It's just super decompressed because it takes him 7 issues to tell a story. It took Stan Lee 11 pages. But
some people like more detail.
He goes very into detail, but it does give you a lot of like character work and stuff, so that's good. This is also technically very little happens.
Gotcha.
But it's good. I mean, technically stuff is happening even when nothing's happening. It's how stories work. You get it.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to piggyback off you then, because that actually makes me think. Maurice Sendak's Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh, yeah, the movie.
Yeah. I love the book.
Yeah.
But the book is like, what? It's like the same thing as what you were just... It was like 11 pages.
Yeah.
And almost no dialogue or actual, it's mostly a picture book. The movie Spike Jonze did is, in my opinion, extraordinary.
Okay.
I think it's fantastic. It was from years and years ago. This is not a modern thing if you hadn't heard of this, because it really didn't get a lot of
It didn't. I know about
attention.
it. I haven't seen it.
I saw it in the theaters a couple times. I have the book by Dave Eggers. Like, I loved it. The soundtrack is great.
I love the book.
Yeah, Karen O does the soundtrack.
I know that, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that Jim Henson's Creature Shop worked with them in building the huge puppets of the monsters, and they look incredible. So, yeah, I like your idea there. That's a good comparison.
Excellent. So now let's finally talk about what we're doing next week.
What are we doing next week,
Are you
Josh?
ready?
I think so. Bibleman. I know what
Finally.
this is. Oh, back to the 90s.
It's been so long, and we haven't done Bibleman yet.
Bibleman. I actually never watched it. I just am very aware of it, and I can
Whatever a Bible
how
can.
stupid those VHS tape covers looked.
So we're gonna watch the 6 Lies of the Fibbler and Defeating the Shadow of Doubt.
Why am I so excited? You're changing me. This podcast is changing me. I'm so sad, but though so many of our choices that this is the kind of stuff I get excited about.
And I don't think Bibleman needs an introduction. I don't need to tell you about it. If you're remotely familiar with Christian media,
Yeah.
you know Bibleman.
A lot of our people are not, though. That's the thing. We'll go into detail, obviously, next week, but...
Yes. To give a brief synopsis of what Bibleman is for people who are unaware, Willie Ames is Bibleman. Willie Ames is from Charles in Charge and 8 is Enough, primarily.
Yes, I just found that out.
With some other stuff.
Yeah, I actually recognize his name now that I see his face.
He is a super weird version of Batman who uses the Bible and a lightsaber to fight bad guys.
Yes.
And it is exactly what it sounds like.
So 90s, isn't it? It's all
super
90s, right? Yeah, yes.
So get ready for that next week.
Okay.
Pretty exciting.
Pretty stoked.
I've already updated our playlist.
Oh, on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
As always, if you like the show, please remember to give us some 5-star reviews on whatever podcast app or service you are using, and tell your friends about us any way that you can, because we need you to do that. Mm-hmm. If you don't like the show, tell your enemies about us, because we could use their listens too.
There you go.
Links to everything are in the description of this episode, and including a website where you can go to send us comments or questions so that we can do a mailbag.
Yeah.
Either a long mailbag or a short mailbag, but a mailbag nonetheless.
Love mail.
Here's the mail. It never
Okay. It makes me want to wag my tail.
And as always, thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys.
We like your faces.
We like you a bunch.
Bye.
Bye.